Have you ever imagined a former US president, once considered the most powerful man on earth, becoming the punchline of a global joke, all because of a tweet? And that tweet didn't come from a political rival, nor from an investigative journalist. It came from Elon Musk, entrepreneur, billionaire, and now a man who can mop power with 280 characters. This wasn't just a random jab, it was a silent declaration of war from a new era, one where technology is no longer a background tool, but the epicenter of power itself, where a single individual can dismantle an entire political image using emojis and hashtags. What really happened inside the Oval Office that day? How could a tweet erase the momentum of a presidential campaign? And is this the beginning of a quiet transfer of power from those who are elected to those who control the data? This video doesn't just recount an incident. It will map out a new power structure, where those who master the algorithm can rewrite history, and those who are mocked may live forever as memes. If you never believed that politics belongs only to the world's most powerful officials, then the story you're about to hear might make you think again. Part 1. The context when Trump and Musk collided at the heart of power. Washington, D.C., the political capital of the world, where every room echoes with history, where every handshake has the potential to shift the course of global events. In the heart of this city, the Oval Office is more than just a room, it is the ultimate symbol of American power. And it was within these iconic walls that what was meant to be a strategic meeting between Donald J. Trump, former President of the United States, and his inner circle of supporters, unexpectedly erupted into a global media earthquake, thanks to a single tweet from Elon Musk, not in person, but through his digital weapon of choice. The meeting had been quietly scheduled, presented as a private, behind-the-scenes political gathering. Trump was in the midst of preparing for his 2020 presidential comeback campaign. To achieve that, he needed to reinforce loyalty among major donors, rebuild trust within the Republican leadership, and most importantly, reassert his image as a figure of strength and influence in the public eye. The Oval Office, once the setting for life and death decisions in U.S. history, was chosen as the perfect backdrop for this carefully choreographed event. There, Trump appeared to be back in his element, bold statements, commanding gestures, and that signature smirk of defiance. The attendees included several conservative senators, media strategists, and notably, a few tech and finance figures loyal to his cause. The mood was described as warm, optimistic, and forward-looking, with familiar slogans like "Make America Great Again" echoing through the conversations. But at the peak of the gathering, just as Trump was basking in support and admiration, on the other side of the digital world, Elon Musk, the most powerful man in tech, quietly pressed tweet. Sitting in the Oval Office feels like watching a reality show. Except it's a rerun no one asked for. Hashtag Festival of Foolishness. One sentence, one hashtag, a sugar-coated pose and pill. And in an instant, the imagery of Trump's meeting was transformed into the laughingstock of the internet, likened to a tacky reality TV show, rerunning a plot no one wanted to watch. In the blink of an eye, the Oval Office, once a symbol of leadership, became a stage for political parody, all thanks to a single click. The question immediately surfaced: how did Musk know what was happening? Was there a mole in the room feeding him details? Or did Elon simply sense the absurdity in American political theater and strike at the perfect moment? Whatever the answer, the outcome was undeniable. Trump was publicly humiliated, in the very room that once crowned his presidency. This was no longer just a meeting. It was an invisible clash between two modern power titans, Trump, who once ruled through executive orders, and Musk, who now shapes reality through algorithms and influence. And in a cruel twist of irony, the very platform from which Trump once tried to ban Musk and others during his presidency now became the weapon Musk used to deliver a brutal counterpunch. In this new game of power, social media is no longer just a tool, it is the battlefield, and a single tweet can shake the foundation of a political campaign. Part 2. When a single tweet tore down a carefully staged political theater. In an era where a tweet can decide political destinies, Elon Musk, the man behind the world's most powerful tech empires, unleashed a message of less than 200 characters that echoed across the globe. At a moment that seemed calm within the Oval Office, as Donald Trump worked to reassert his political authority, Musk made his move, not through a press conference, not with a televised speech, but with a single tap on a keyboard. At first glance, it was simply a witty jab, humorous, sharp, and entertaining. But within minutes, public reaction exploded. No one looked at the Oval Office the same way again. People began to see it not as a chamber of power, but as a tired stage where a dated drama was playing out. And in that performance, the lead actor, Donald Trump, was cast by Musk as nothing more than a relic of a reality show nobody wanted to watch again. The brilliance and cruelty of Musk's tweet lay in the fact that he didn't name names, didn't resort to vulgarity, and yet made it painfully clear who the message was about. It was a precision strike, not just against Trump's personal image, but also against the sanctity of the most powerful room in American politics. The phrase reality show called back to Trump's television past, The Apprentice, where he famously fired contestants with the words "You're fired." Now, the tables had turned. It was Musk, effectively firing Trump from relevance with nothing more than his thumbs. The follow-up line, or rerun no one asked for, delivered a harsh truth. Trump's comeback isn't wanted. He is, in Musk's eyes, an old program, long past its expiration date. Then came the hashtag Festival of Foolishness, a brilliant, devastating flourish. It labeled the entire meeting in the Oval Office, and everyone present, as participants in a festival of fools. No need for lengthy analysis, no need for video evidence. That hashtag alone told the story. Within an hour, Musk's tweet became headline material, fuel for thousands of memes, and the crack in Trump's carefully crafted image. What followed was an unusual silence from Trump, a man known for his impulsive and immediate comebacks. Hours passed without a single word. For someone who thrives on dominance, that silence was telling. The blow had landed. His team rushed to defend the meeting as serious and inspiring, but in the age of retweets and viral hashtags, words fall flat when the internet has already made up its mind. Some argued that it was all just a joke, Musk being Musk, entertaining his followers. But whether accidental or deliberate, the consequences were real. And the lesson for Trump, and all traditional political figures, was clear. You may control the stage, but if you can't control the audience's laughter, you're just the punchline in your own play. While Trump sat in the Oval Office surrounded by rehearsed applause, Elon Musk, with one light tap, tore open the curtain, exposing the reality beneath. The script was outdated, and the audience was ready for a new show. Part 3. Global media fallout when Trump was undressed before the world. There are political missteps one can quietly recover from, but there are also moments, fleeting yet explosive, when an entire image, crafted over decades of power and promise, collapses under the weight of a global media storm. Elon Musk's tweet bearing the hashtag Festival of Foolishness wasn't just a minor jab at Donald Trump's credibility. It was a digital tsunami that ripped the veneer of authority off him, exposing a raw, unfiltered Trump to the unforgiving spotlight of the modern world. Within hours of Musk's post, a cascade of reactions erupted across all platforms: Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and global news giants like CNN, BBC, and Al Jazeera. Screens flashed with screenshots of the tweet, followed by wave after wave of parody videos, sarcastic memes, and breaking news segments labeling it one of the most humiliating media moments of the year. With a single tap, Musk not only stole the world's attention, but also forced it to view Trump through a completely different lens, no longer as the fierce, commanding former president, but as a recycled performer, clumsily replaying a role the world had outgrown. But the ripple didn't stop there. The shockwave shook the very foundations of the Republican Party. Senior members felt embarrassed, even betrayed, as they realized they had become unwilling participants in the so-called Festival of Fools. Whispers of discontent emerged from longtime allies, questioning Trump's strategic instincts and his grip on media control. Meanwhile, major donors, ever cautious about reputation and optics, began to hesitate, concerned that Trump's name was now more joke than juggernaut. On the international front, commentators from Europe, Asia, and the Middle East agreed. This moment was a clear indicator of the decline of Trump's once impenetrable public persona. From Paris to Seoul, from Cairo to Sydney, discussions shifted from Trump's political strategies to the absurdity of a meeting turned into meme fodder. And in the middle of this maelstrom, Elon Musk, who hadn't even been in the room, who held no official political title, emerged as the true director of the drama. With one sharp quip, he redirected the entire media narrative, flipping Trump's role from master orchestrator to unsuspecting puppet in someone else's script. Under mounting pressure, Trump eventually issued a toned-down response, calling Musk's tweet unnecessary and silly, but the public wasn't buying it. They had already laughed, shared, and turned the moment into folklore. And in today's internet-driven world, once the masses have labeled something a joke, there's no easy way to reclaim its seriousness. The Festival of Foolishness quickly became a turning point, a moment where media no longer served politics, but instead became the force that could challenge, even punish, it. In the clash between a tweet and an entire political strategy, the victor wasn't the one with a microphone, but the one who controlled the meme. And so, Trump was undressed, not by a journalist, not by a political opponent, not by a scandal, but by a single tweet. The world witnessed the fastest image collapse in the post-truth era. Because in an age where truth is replaced by virality and belief is shaped by hashtags, people no longer wait to read the facts. They trust whatever moves fastest, hits hardest, and mocks loudest. Part 4. Political reactions within the U.S. When allies found themselves in the middle of a joke, no bombs exploded in the Oval Office that day, but the political shockwave echoed throughout the halls of power in Washington. Elon Musk's satirical tweet, seemingly a passing joke, triggered a tremor within the American political establishment, especially among Republicans who had once viewed Donald Trump as an irreplaceable standard-bearer. The meeting at the Oval Office had been organized as a move to solidify Trump's credibility and prepare his media strategy for the upcoming election. But following Musk's sharply worded post, the entire event was suddenly recast as a political comedy sketch in the eyes of the public and global media. What infuriated many Republican insiders wasn't just the content of the tweet. It was the fact that they themselves, as attendees of the meeting, had been dragged into a viral spectacle they never agreed to be part of. One anonymous senator confided to the press, "I didn't sign up to be a character in a global meme. This is embarrassing." Younger, more outspoken conservative lawmakers were quick to defend Trump, accusing Musk of being disrespectful and flippant toward the country's institutions, urging party supporters not to fall for media bait. But what stood out most was the widespread and unsettling silence from the party's senior leadership. That silence wasn't accidental, it reflected a deeper truth. Many key figures within the GOP have grown weary of Trump's theatrics, unpredictability, and media vulnerability. There is a growing concern that any campaign involving him will inevitably attract uncontrollable drama and force the entire party into a reactive posture. Even former close allies appeared cautious. Some major donors, while not openly withdrawing, began to shift their attention toward quieter, more stable alternatives. And in politics, where money equals influence, this is a warning sign that cannot be ignored. Meanwhile, Democrats wasted no time capitalizing on the moment. Figures like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Elizabeth Warren offered subtle jabs on Twitter, suggesting that the incident proved MAGA isn't a movement, it's a meme. They didn't need to launch direct attacks. Their sarcasm spread rapidly online, reinforcing the perception of Trump as an outdated figure left behind by a changing era. Perhaps most telling of all was the silence from potential Trump challengers within the GOP, such as Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley. No tweets, no statements, no public defense. And in the world of politics, silence can be deafening. Because in American politics, few things are more dangerous than the quiet withdrawal of support, when those who once applauded you are no longer standing beside you, even when you've just been publicly humiliated. Part 5. International Reactions and Global Public Sentiment. When the world laughed, and respect was no longer given. When a domestic political event in the United States makes the world laugh not out of admiration, but because of how absurd it seems, it's no longer just about one man, one party, or even one nation. It becomes a warning bell for a global shift in how power, leadership, and above all, the name Donald Trump are perceived. Elon Musk's satirical tweet didn't just spark chaos in the US within hours, it had spread across the globe like a viral storm of mockery, with international media eagerly jumping on board. Publications from the UK, France, Germany, Japan, and Australia all ran headlines portraying the Oval Office event as a political farce. French television described Trump as a washed-up host trying to reprise an outdated role, while a German paper compared the Oval Office to the backstage of a political circus. In Asian countries where Trump's foreign policy had once been watched with wary eyes, the event was treated as an unexpected dose of entertainment. Social media across South Korea, Thailand, and India exploded with memes parodying the festival of foolishness in the Oval Office. Some even remixed Trump's old speeches into viral TikTok comedy videos. But the real significance wasn't in the laughter. It was in the subtle collapse of a leadership image Trump had carefully cultivated on the global stage, a former European ambassador remarked. You don't need an election to know he's no longer seen as someone who can represent America to the world. The international diplomatic community, usually reserved and cautious in their commentary on US politics, was now quietly relieved. They didn't say it out loud, but it was clear. The era of centering foreign relations around the volatility and ego of one man was over. To many observers, Musk's tweet wasn't just mockery. It was an unofficial obituary for the Trump era. Even within private diplomatic circles at institutions like NATO and G20, the incident became a talking point. One analyst from the Institute of International Relations in London noted, "The question now isn't will Trump return, but if he does, will the world still take him seriously?" And that may be the most profound impact of all. Not a temporary embarrassment, but the erosion of strategic credibility on the global stage. A politician can lose votes at home that can be fixed, but losing the world's respect is a fracture not easily repaired. Meanwhile, Elon Musk, who holds no formal political office, has inadvertently become the face of 21st century soft power. When a tech billionaire can destabilize the image of a former US president with a single sarcastic sentence, it's clear that the rules of global influence have changed. Part 6. Elon Musk, a whimsical instigator or the architect of modern power. In a world where a single sentence can dismantle a campaign and a well-placed symbol can topple an empire, Elon Musk is far more than just a tech billionaire. He is the living embodiment of a new generation of power, one that doesn't rely on titles or thrones, but instead on controlling public sentiment, mastering the tempo of information, and wielding short-form communication like a surgeon's scalpel. So what truly lay behind Musk's now infamous tweet, the one that seemed to deliver a slap across Donald Trump's political face? Was it simply a joke, or was it a move in a larger strategic game? To understand Musk's motivations and psychology, one must look far beyond the surface of his eccentric quips. We must dive into the mind of a man who walks the tightrope between brilliance, chaos, and calculated ambition. First, Musk possesses an enormous ego, something he shares with Trump. But the key difference is this: while Trump seems obsessed with being loved and admired, Musk appears more intrigued by provoking a reaction, whether praise or backlash. Every tweet, every offbeat statement he makes is like a stone dropped into the lake of public discourse, sending out endless ripples. And Musk seems to relish watching those ripples spread, clash, and morph, as though conducting a global social experiment in real time. The hashtag Festival of Foolishness tweet could be seen as one such test, except this time, the target was a faded political symbol, a man Musk had previously clashed with, been dismissed by, and now found ripe for satire. On one hand, Musk may simply be tapping into the current trend of mocking old-world power structures, the outsider with sharp instincts and a taste for chaos. But on the other hand, there's a strategic undertone. Musk may be actively experimenting with his role as a reformer of power itself, not through policy or office, but through ideas, memes, and digital influence. It is no coincidence that Musk, the owner of Twitter now X, used this very platform to dissect Trump's image. This wasn't just banter, it was a statement: those who control the narrative control reality. And Musk, with his command over the platform, user data, recommendation algorithms, and personal megaphone, now sits in a position most politicians would envy. He may not care for traditional politics, but he cares deeply about how power is interpreted, and that is what's shifting beneath our feet. In an age where images, memes, and virality have replaced rhetoric, Musk is mastering the language of modern power. Some analysts call him the great agitator. Others, more alarmed, whisper that he's becoming a crownless emperor in a post-truth age. Love him or loathe him, no one can deny, Musk knows how to make the world turn its head, and how to shrink even the most powerful figures with a single tweet. Part 7. Trump's counterplay. When media strategy becomes the shield of a wounded empire, Donald Trump is no stranger to media attacks. In fact, he has often turned public scrutiny and press pressure into fuel for his personal brand. But this time, when Elon Musk launched his viral tweet, Festival of Foolishness, and transformed a serious Oval Office meeting into a global punchline, Trump's reaction took on a different tone, a cautious retreat cloaked in strategic deflection. Instead of firing back in his usual brash and confrontational style, Trump opted for calculated silence and tone softening. Within hours of Musk's tweet, he made a brief media appearance and downplayed the controversy. Elon was just joking. We had a very productive, very wonderful meeting. A simple line, but with 2 layers of strategy, de-escalation, and reaffirmation of the meeting's legitimacy. It was a shrewd move. In this context, Trump had no interest in turning Elon Musk, now arguably a more powerful media figure than any politician, into a direct adversary. That would be a battle Trump couldn't control. Next, his media team pivoted swiftly. They released behind-the-scenes footage from the meeting. Smiling handshakes, warm greetings, optimistic sound bites. The aim was clear: replace the public's memory of a farce with one of unity and hope. Control the narrative, redraw the image. At the same time, Trump intensified his presence on more traditional, controllable platforms, such as Fox News, conservative podcasts, and public rallies, spaces where he commands full control over the stage and the audience. It was a tactical retreat into familiar battlegrounds, a way to rebuild support in areas less susceptible to the viral wildfire of social media. Behind the scenes, however, it was evident that his campaign had been forced to reassess its entire media architecture. Every event, every appearance, every person photographed beside Trump would now be meticulously curated. Because, as this incident proved, even one unexpected variable, like a single tweet from Musk, could unravel a carefully constructed message. Perhaps the clearest post-incident strategy was Trump's decision to weaponize the public's short attention span. By generating a constant stream of headlines, provocative statements, and new talking points, He flooded the media landscape, pushing the festival of foolishness further down the timeline, banking on the idea that what isn't new is quickly forgotten. It's an old playbook, but one that works. Bury the damage under a barrage of new content, and overshadow moments of weakness with displays of strength. But this time, the playing field has changed. Unlike previous years, Trump is no longer the sole conductor of the media symphony. Because across the aisle, Elon Musk doesn't need a press conference, a slogan, or a campaign stage. All he needs is a tweet. Part 8. A cracked image. When a single tweet shakes an entire election campaign. In modern politics, image isn't just an accessory to a campaign. It is the campaign. And for Donald Trump, a man who has always placed personal branding above policy nuance, becoming the subject of global mockery isn't just a bruise, it's a direct strike at the core of his political power. Elon Musk's tweet didn't simply embarrass Trump, it punctured the carefully reinforced armor that Trump had spent years constructing. Once hailed as the irreplaceable leader, he suddenly looked like a fading actor trying to reprise a role that no longer fit the stage. And in a world where social media can replicate and exaggerate a humorous image millions of times within hours, the Trump brand began to warp, betrayed by the very weapon that once built it: attention. A successful campaign relies on three foundational elements: voter trust, party support, and donor confidence. And in the aftermath of the Festival of Foolishness, all three began to show signs of strain. First came the shift in voter perception. Hardcore supporters may continue to see Elon Musk as a traitor or tech clown who doesn't understand politics. But for moderate and undecided voters, the real kingmakers in elections, Trump's image took a decisive hit. To them, he was no longer the disruptor who speaks his mind, but rather a man stuck in a loop, now reduced to trending as a meme instead of a movement. Then came ripples within the Republican Party. Strategists began asking tough questions. Can we risk another cycle backing a candidate so vulnerable to viral ridicule? Figures like Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley, once hesitant, now appear increasingly viable as safer, less chaotic alternatives. The stage Trump once dominated suddenly looked more crowded and more competitive. But perhaps the most telling shift came from big money donors. Quietly, subtly, some began to redirect their focus, not out of disloyalty, but out of caution. In the world of high-stakes campaigning, perception is investment, and a man who can be unraveled by a single tweet is a financial liability. Trump, once the master of media, who shaped headlines and dominated timelines, now found himself at the mercy of someone else's narrative. And in politics, that's a dangerous place to be. What made things worse was timing. The incident came just as Trump was working to reposition himself as a serious national leader in preparation for his 2024 comeback. But within a single afternoon, that narrative collapsed under the weight of a forward hashtag Festival of Foolishness, a phrase with more cultural traction than 100 campaign speeches. Though Trump carried on, holding rallies, making TV appearances, projecting strength, the echo of that tweet remained, a quiet scratch in the public's memory that refused to fade. Because when people begin to associate a candidate not with policy, but with a viral joke, it's no longer a win for the image. It's the beginning of a slow, silent decline. Part 9. The power of social media. When a single tweet shakes the political stage. Politics was once a stage for grand speeches, high-stakes debates, and formal declarations beneath the glow of congressional lights. But in the digital age, where attention spans are measured in seconds and information spreads at the speed of light, a single tweet, just a few dozen words, can shift the direction of an entire campaign or even dismantle the image of a leader. Elon Musk's now viral tweet, branded with the hashtag Festival of Foolishness, is the perfect illustration of social media's unchecked power in the 21st century. It wasn't just a viral joke, It was a precision media strike with global shockwaves that transcended borders and crushed reputations. What made the moment so potent wasn't just the content of the tweet. It was the timing and the speed of its dissemination. In less than 24 hours, it had garnered millions of shares, hundreds of thousands of comments, and became the subject of international headlines. Media is no longer a reflection of politics, it is politics. And those who control the game are not necessarily elected officials, but individuals who master algorithms, drive engagement, and understand the psychology of crowds. Elon Musk, as the owner of the platform X, formerly Twitter, didn't merely use social media as a tool, he is social media. And when he speaks, the global information ecosystem reacts. In this case, Trump, once proud of being a media master, became the victim of a new kind of media blow, where the power no longer lies in policy statements, but in instantaneous virality. Social media is no longer a place to share opinions, it's a place that shapes reality itself. Musk's tweet didn't just mock Trump, it redefined him in a way that the public could absorb more readily, not through logic or facts, but through humor, emotion, and viral momentum. No communications team can react fast enough to stop a meme that spreads in 3 minutes. No official statement can undo 3 million retweets. And this highlights the new imbalance of power. Power no longer lies in titles, but in whoever controls the flow of information first. Modern politics is no longer just about campaigning, it is a battle to control the narrative. And in that battle, a single tweet, perfectly timed, contextually sharp, and psychologically in tune with public sentiment, can overpower a $100 million campaign. We are entering an era where politicians can lose because of a meme, a trending hashtag, or a 140-character sentence. And that changes not only how we perceive power, it changes forever how power is created and destroyed. Part 10. Will Elon Musk enter politics? When the shaper of public opinion is asked about the throne. In an age where influence is no longer defined by votes, but by shares and retweets, a once rhetorical question is now becoming increasingly serious. Is Elon Musk preparing to enter politics? No one can deny that Elon Musk has, whether intentionally or not, become a political figure without a title. Without joining any party or running for office, he still has the power to shape public narratives, influence global discourse, and directly impact the reputations of some of the world's most powerful individuals, as recently demonstrated with Donald Trump. In public, Musk has repeatedly denied any intention to pursue traditional politics. He once said, "I don't want to be president. I prefer building over managing." But that hasn't stopped speculation, because real power no longer stems from the chair you sit in, but from the influence you command. And when we examine Musk's reach, spanning technology, space, finance, media, and even social perception, it becomes clear that he possesses everything a modern politician could dream of: a loyal following, his own media platform, and the ability to steer public opinion in real time. In a world shaken by crises of trust in leadership, people are craving new role models, outsiders with bold vision, the courage to act, and the capacity to inspire. Musk checks nearly every box. He is the embodiment of our technological age, pragmatic, fast-paced, and radically unconventional. And if a reality TV star like Trump can become president, why not the man behind Tesla and SpaceX? Moreover, Musk has already tested his political influence on multiple occasions, challenging COVID policies, criticizing the education system, clashing with the federal government over electric vehicles, and openly supporting, then distancing himself from, conservative candidates. All signs point to this truth: he's not outside the political arena. He's just playing it his own way, at a different level. Maybe Musk will never run for office. But maybe he doesn't need to. In a world where social media is the new parliament, where power is measured in impressions, virality, and engagement rather than ballots, Musk has already stepped into politics. Just through a path no one's seen before. And perhaps the real question isn't will Elon Musk enter politics, but rather, have we realized he's already there, rewriting the rules of power, one keystroke at a time? Part 11. Politician versus tech billionaire, a power struggle between two eras. Throughout history, power has been associated with thrones, parliaments, and the stroke of a pen signing legislation. But the 21st century has turned that order on its head. Today, while a politician needs a press conference to be heard, a tech billionaire only needs a tweet. Where politics still wields microphones, tech commands algorithms. And so, a quiet yet increasingly visible rivalry has emerged: traditional political leaders versus modern tech moguls. Let's weigh the giants: Donald Trump, a symbol of populist political power, and Elon Musk, the embodiment of postmodern technological influence. They differ in almost every way: style, background, tools of engagement. Yet they share one fundamental trait: a relentless drive to influence public opinion. Politicians control laws, budgets, and armies, tangible forms of constitutional power. But tech billionaires control platforms, language, and data, the very things that shape how people think, speak, and feel. One writes legislation, the other shapes perception. One governs policy, the other governs reality. Crucially, in many cases, the influence of the one who shapes perception cuts deeper, spreads faster, and lasts longer than any law. Laws require time to pass, implement, and enforce. A single tweet can shift public sentiment in 30 seconds. But it's not just about speed, it's about control. Politicians are bound by systems, party lines, opposing media, the judiciary, audits. Tech moguls, especially ones like Musk, operate with almost no checks. They create their own ecosystems on the platforms they speak from, and can even suppress dissenting voices with a tweak of an algorithm. Elon Musk's viral tweet that destabilized Trump's Oval Office meeting is a perfect case in point. Technology has evolved beyond a political tool. It has become a rival source of power, so who holds more power? The answer is not simple. Politicians can rewrite laws, but they are bound by terms and elections. Tech billionaires have product life cycles and global influence through phones, social media, satellites, and even AI. If power is defined by the ability to shape the future, then tech billionaires are currently winning, at least on the fronts of media, perception, and emotion. Still, we must not underestimate politics. When technology overreaches, politics, if strong enough, remains the only force that can pull the brake. But to do that, politics must evolve. It must understand and catch up with technology. It must learn to communicate not just from parliamentary chambers, but through the viral rhythms of social networks. In this new world, power no longer belongs to whoever speaks the loudest, but to whoever is heard the most. And sometimes, a perfectly timed tweet can drown out a speech in Congress. Part 12. Media lessons for leaders in the digital age, when a meme can rewrite history. In the past, people believed that power was safeguarded by titles, podiums, marble buildings, and laws. But today, in a world where every word can be edited, every expression turned into a meme, and every event repackaged for the algorithm in mere minutes, true power lies in who controls the story that spreads. The moment Elon Musk posted a single tweet that shook the carefully curated image of Donald Trump, a former president and media powerhouse, it became a crystal clear signal. Digital media is no longer just a supporting tool for politics. It is the battlefield itself. In this era, a leader can fall not because of an investigation, but because of a perfectly timed hashtag. The first lesson for any leader: never stay silent in the face of a viral storm. Delayed reactions, like Trump's slow response to Musk's tweet, are not just strategic mistakes. They are a surrender of narrative control. By the time you speak, the internet may have already spoken for you, crafting a version of yourself that millions have accepted before you even begin to respond. Secondly, emotion has become the new currency of influence. Facts and policies take time to explain. But a sarcastic meme, a poorly timed grimace, or a clip edited just right, those spread effortlessly. While leaders polish their speeches, social media has already launched an avalanche of mockery, satire, and remix videos. In this battlefield, reason arrives too late. The dangerous part, those memes don't disappear. They become digital scars, lasting longer than any term in office, more stubborn than any public apology. A single unfortunate moment caught on camera, a verbal slip amplified millions of times, can haunt a leader for the rest of their career. Thus, the modern leader needs more than vision, strategy, or intelligence. They need communication fluency. They must learn to master not only their message, but their image, their timing, and their virality. They must become the strongest storyteller of their own persona, or risk letting the internet do it for them. And ultimately, the most important lesson: power today is not defined by position, but by visibility, shareability, and resonance within the digital space. A president may no longer be her, while someone like Elon Musk, who owns the platform, can stop the world with a single line of text. In this world, victory doesn't belong to the loudest voice, but to the most amplified one. And sometimes, history isn't written by the one holding the pen, but by the one who created the first meme. Conclusion: a small event, a tremendous shift. Trump and the new era of power. Some turning points in history aren't forged by sweeping legislation or devastating wars. Instead, they emerge from a subtle moment, seemingly trivial, yet precisely attuned to the pulse of its time. Elon Musk's tweet mocking Donald Trump's Oval Office meeting is one such moment, a small gesture, a short sentence. But its consequences rippled outward, shaking the very foundation of how modern power is perceived. In the old world, the president stood atop the power pyramid. His words carried institutional weight. His actions could sway markets and shape the fate of nations, but that world is fading. Today, a man with no official title, representing no government, elected by no one, can command global attention with a single tweet. This moment didn't just bruise Trump's personal image. It struck at the heart of a system that has long placed faith in formal positions rather than actual influence. It revealed the growing gap between power by election and power by virality. When Elon Musk, in a mocking tone, branded Trump's carefully staged meeting as a festival of foolishness, he didn't just ridicule the event. He exposed the futility of an old leadership style, one struggling to survive in a world defined by speed, emotion, and digital momentum. This raises a deeper question: whose era are we living in? The era of lawgivers or of platform owners? Of those who speak on TV or those who create trends online? That tweet revealed a truth we can no longer ignore. Power is no longer granted from the top down, but built from the bottom up, through attention. In this world, true leadership is no longer judged by title, but by how effectively one lives in the collective mind, amid swipes, scrolls, and fleeting headlines. Trump may still have rallies, followers, and a microphone, but Elon Musk holds something today's politicians need most: the ability to set the rhythm of the public narrative. And in this evolving contest of influence, the one who can make the world laugh may, in fact, be the one who wins. Today's story is just one glimpse into a power structure that's shifting day by day. When a single tweet can spark political earthquakes, we, as observers, must stay sharp and dive deeper into the world we live in. If this video gave you new insight or a fresh perspective, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to keep up with our latest deep dive analyses. Make sure to turn on notifications so you'll be the first to uncover hidden truths, from behind-the-scenes politics to the media strategies shaping global perception. And don't miss our next video, where we explore the platform owners. Are they quietly controlling the world's future? Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.